Hey everybody, Alan Weber here from the Mayor's Office. Happy Tuesday. It's a beautiful spring morning. As you can see, I'm starting out this webcast wearing my mask because I want to make the point that there is every reason in the world to wear masks in this situation we're in. In fact, the governor has encouraged it. I'm encouraging it. I think when you go out, whenever you're with other people, if you're out doing an essential errand like shopping for supermarket goods, groceries, food from a grocery store, wear a mask. If you go out and you're with 3 friends taking a walk in the park, wear a mask. Act as if you had the virus. Our aim continues to be to keep everybody safe, to put public safety and health as our highest priority. And wearing a mask is one way to reduce the spread of the COVID-19 virus. We're seeing the numbers climb, but we're trying to slow the rate of doubling. And one way we can all participate, one way each one of us can make a difference, is by acting as if we already had COVID-19, do the right thing, wear a mask, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Put it on your hands, wipe it in, and then do it again later and continue to kill the germs that might be on your hands. The governor yesterday continued to lead by example by issuing new orders for the emergency situation we're in and by indicating that no more than 20% of a retail establishments a number of people, it's rated fire occupancy, should be in the store at any time. I issued a series of recommendations and orders concerning wiping down surfaces in grocery stores and supermarkets, also limiting the number of people who go into those grocery stores and supermarkets, having 6-foot spacing between people, wherever possible, using pickup and delivery at the curbside, doing everything we can to break the back of the coronavirus. The next month at least will be the time for testing to see if we've got the discipline, the toughness of mind, as well as the empathy and the compassion to do the right thing. Wherever possible, stay home. If you need to go to the grocery store, limit your trip. See if you can do it once a week rather than more often. If you're going to shop for groceries or essential items, don't take a group of people. Go by yourself or 2 people at the most. Don't hoard. Leave things on the shelves for your neighbors who will need those items just as much as you do. Before you leave the house, wash your hands. When you get home from your trip, wash your hands. While you're out and about, if you're running an essential errand, put on a mask. A mask is a symbol to all of us that you get it, that you know we are in extraordinary times, taking extraordinary measures to do the right thing. We just wrapped up a very exciting program this morning, a small business webinar. Roughly 500 people or more signed up to participate in this webinar. It was free and it was videoed. If you missed it, it will be on YouTube for rebroadcast. Go to YouTube and type in City of Santa Fe in the search box, or go to the city's website. There'll be a link there. It's filled with useful tips from subject matter experts at the state level, at the federal level, at the city level, to give small mom and pop businesses, the backbone of our economy, tips that all of them need, all of you need, all of us need in order to make it through this extraordinary period where the first shock was a health crisis. Now we know the aftershock is an economic crisis. We've all got to come together to work together to make it through it. Remember to patronize our restaurants, do takeout, do pickup, get delivery, pick your favorite restaurants and order from them regularly to keep those people working and in business. We can all make it through this together if we take care of each other. And that means taking care of small businesses. Remember to stay home. If you don't have to go out, don't go out. If you're going to go out, go for a walk, go for a hike. The parks are open, but as of yesterday, we've started to shut down and rope off the playstations, the swing sets, the physical equipment, because we simply can't guarantee that we're cleaning them often enough and thoroughly enough that they're safe. And we also want to send a special message to our young people, our high school kids, our college kids who are home from school with schools shutting down. You are not immune to this disease. You're young and you're fit and you are healthy now, but we're seeing all over the world that the coronavirus doesn't make distinctions. It will make anybody sick. So if you go out to a park in the evening, if you bring your friends together for a game of pickup basketball, you may risk the health of your whole family. You could go out healthy and come back with the coronavirus and make your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your auntie, your uncle, any of those people in your immediate family who are less strong than you, whose immune systems may be weaker than yours, could come down with COVID-19 if you go out and mingle with your friends and think you're having fun, but you're actually picking up the coronavirus. So please be extra careful, be extra safe. There is a city council meeting tomorrow night. It's a virtual meeting, but you can tune in. You can make the link by going to the city's website and watch and see what's going on that way. It's obviously broadcast on the radio, KSFR 101.1 FM. It'll be streaming. You can pick it up there. You can pick it up on television. As far as I know, there are not public hearings scheduled. We've been pushing out the land use hearings until we get further down the road and see what our ability is to conduct a hearing to make sure that everybody's voice actually gets heard and we are able to conduct the public business in a transparent and involved way. Other things that need to be mentioned, it's worth once again giving a shout out to the governor for her leadership and to the Department of Health. If you want to keep track of how New Mexico is doing with our infection rate, it's all on the State Department of Health website. So far, and it's really because of you and your commitment to doing the right thing, staying home, practicing good hygiene, the city and county of Santa Fe has an increase in our rate of infection, but it's not doubling at a rapid clip. We're keeping the numbers down. That doesn't mean we can relax. That doesn't mean we can go back to business as usual. We are still on an emergency health care footing. We need to be conscious every single day of doing the right thing and taking care of each other. This is one of those situations where what you do individually, what each of us does individually, can make a huge difference. If every single one of us stays home, begins to wear a mask, begins to do extra measures to wash our hands, to stay safe, to practice 6-foot social distancing, the more we do that, the more we flatten the curve, the more we see the county of Santa Fe's rate not skyrocket, not double at a rapid clip, but stay very, very safe. A big shout out to city employees. We've got people, men and women, who work for the city of Santa Fe who are on the front lines of the COVID-19 virus, continuing to do the city's business. We're continuing to issue building permits and do inspections. We're continuing to fill potholes. We're continuing to take your concerns and complaints, your advice through our constituent service office and keep the city running even while we do battle with the COVID-19 virus. So when you see a city employee, when you see a state employee, when you see the postal workers continuing to do their jobs, give them a thank you. Tell them you appreciate their work. Give them a tip of the hat. Give them a round of applause. Same goes for our healthcare workers who are on the front lines of this really unbelievable, remarkable, unimaginable global pandemic. Every single day, men and women are reporting to our hospitals and our healthcare facilities. Our police officers, our firefighters are out there looking after the health and safety of everybody in our community. It's never a bad time to say thank you and to give them a round of applause, to give them a tip of the hat, to give them a wave and acknowledge the extraordinary service they're doing to keep all of us safe and to keep the city running. Before I sign off, I wanted to tell you a story that I was reminded of last night. Some of you may be readers of management and business books. I certainly am. And one of the best books ever written about business and management is called Good to Great, written by a friend of mine named Jim Collins, who lives up in Boulder. Good to Great tells the story of how companies go from being good companies to great companies by practicing some very fundamental rules of business management and leadership. In that book, Jim Collins tells the story of an American hero named Admiral Stockdale. Admiral Stockdale was a member of the service during the Vietnam War years, and he was captured by the Vietnam enemy, the Vietnamese enemy, and he was held captive in what was known as the Hanoi Hilton. He was the ranking officer there. Jim Collins interviewed him about his experience in that situation where he was confined. His freedom had been taken away from him. He was a prisoner of war. And Jim Collins asked him how he made it through that trying period of being confined as a prisoner of war. He was tortured, he was beaten, and he was the leader of the troops. How did you make it through, Admiral Stockdale? Well, the answer was two things. Number one, he became absolutely convinced with unshakable conviction and faith that he was going to make it through, and not only was he going to make it through, but the experience of being a prisoner of war would be the defining experience of his life. That when he got home, he would be able to look back on his conduct as a prisoner of war and know that it was a test of his courage and his character, and that he had passed it with flying colors, and it would define him for the rest of his life, so much so that he would end up being great. That was the first thing he was convinced of. The second thing he was convinced of was he needed to face the brutal facts of life. And the most powerful brutal fact of life was he did not know how long he would be held captive. He had no control over it. So he had to embrace that paradox, that on the one hand, he would end up being defined by this experience, and on the other hand, he had to deal with the brutal reality that he didn't know how long that experience would go on. So Jim Collins followed up that by asking a second question, which was, well, Admiral, you obviously made it through with all of those character tests intact. Who didn't make it? And Admiral Stockdale gave a remarkable answer. He said the people who didn't make it were the optimists. Which sounds wrong. The optimists you would think would be the people who would survive and thrive. But in fact, said Admiral Stockdale, the optimists were the people who didn't make it because they told themselves, I'm going to be out by Easter. Easter would come, they couldn't get released. I'll be out by Christmas. Christmas would come, and they hadn't been released. I'll be out by next Easter. and again, they wouldn't be released. And ultimately, those were the prisoners who died of a broken heart. So here we are. We are facing an existential crisis, a crisis that we didn't create, we have no control over. We are powerless to know how long it will last. It will last as long as it lasts, and we will do whatever it takes to come through with our character intact, so that when we look back as a city, as a community, as a group of people who have, through generations and centuries, dealt with these kinds of challenge issues that have been before us, we'll look back on this and we'll say, we could not know how long it would last. The brutal facts of life are, it will last as long as it lasts. But however long it lasts, we're going to work together. We are going to cooperate, collaborate, show compassion and care for each other. We will bring our best selves every single day to this challenge. And when it's done, whenever it's done, we're going to know that we passed with flying colors and that we were defined by how we managed our lives, our participation, our individual responsibility, and our community response, so that we're very, very proud of Santa Fe, northern New Mexico, and our entire state. And we will pass the Admiral Stockdale test. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good day. Stay safe. Stay home. Practice good practices of social distancing. Stay very, very safe with each other. Take care. I'll talk to you tomorrow.